Hey, welcome to Road to Forever. I'm Cherry, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Daniel Fast protein sources which pack a punch. Yes, that's what I'm talking about today. And the reason why I wanted to address this particular topic is because it's something I hear from a lot of people when they're going to do the Daniel Fast is really, how is it possible to get enough protein for 21 days during the Daniel Fast? And this was a concern I definitely had the first time I did the Daniel Fast because I was really into like bodybuilding at the time. You don't believe me? Look at this picture of me right here. So I was really concerned about like maintaining my muscles and all of those things at that time. And so I know one of the things I would think about was, man, how am I going to do this Daniel Fast? And I also know that this is a concern for individuals who are athletes who are like, well, am I going to be able to have enough energy to play my sports if I don't get enough protein? And I think the reason for that is because when we think of protein, we often associate it with like animal-based sources. So whether it's some type of meat, it's some type of eggs, or even like whey protein powders, right? So we generally think of protein in terms of an animal-based source. But in this video, I want to show you some of the best high-quality protein sources that I include when I'm going through the Daniel Fast. So if you're excited to find out how you can get adequate protein on the Daniel Fast, then hit that like button and let's jump right into it. Now, before we get to that, I want to remind you to stick around till the end because I'm also going to be talking about protein powders. And so you must be wondering, can I have protein powders on the Daniel Fast as well? Because remember, I said in my other videos, you cannot have any processed foods. You really need to stick to these whole foods in their natural state. And so now I'm going to address what about protein powders, especially if you're an athlete or you're into making sure that you maintain your body composition in terms of your muscles and things like that. So let's take a look at some of my favorite high quality protein sources to include on the Daniel Fast. So in terms of legumes, your best sources for proteins are definitely things that are beans. So like your adzuki beans, your chickpeas, which are called garbanzo beans, kidney beans, black beans, also things like edamame or soybeans. So anything really made from soy. So whether it's like tofu or tempeh, and also, things like your snow peas or like your snap peas, and then peanuts. So black beans are something I definitely love to use on the Daniel Fast. And in a can of black bean, for example, half a cup of black beans will give you about 8 grams of protein, which is awesome when you're on the Daniel Fast because black beans are really versatile in terms of the recipes you can have. You can make Daniel Fast soup. You can make Daniel Fast black bean burgers. You can make, rice and beans for your Daniel Fast meals. So there's so many different options with black beans. Lentils are also something that I love to make on the Daniel Fast. And, with lentils, 1/4 cup of lentils will give you about 11 grams of protein. So again, a really great source of protein. Now, if you're someone who loves peanut butter, about 2 tablespoons of peanut butter will give you 7 grams of protein. So you can see there are so many ways to get your proteins from your legumes. Nuts and seed not only make a great snack, but they are also packed with protein and healthy fats. And some of the best sources of protein for nuts are things like your almonds, your pistachio, cashews, walnuts, your hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds, squash seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds. The list goes on. There's so many different nuts and seeds. And then, for example, in terms of what I use when I'm on the Daniel Fast, I generally use hemp seeds a lot in my recipe, and the particular brand that I use on the screen, you'll see in 3 tablespoons, it gives you about 10 grams of protein. I also love to use chia seeds, and in 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, I will get 6 grams of protein. And then in terms of pumpkin seed, this is something you can put on your salad. It's a great little snack as well. And then about 43 seeds, which is equivalent to about 15 grams, will also give you 4 grams of protein. So when it comes to whole grains, there are several sources of high quality proteins, and things such as kamut, teff, quinoa, wild rice, and oats are all really good high quality proteins that come in the form of whole grains. Now, when it comes to which ones are the top in terms of the amount of protein they contain in a cup, then there are three that are the absolute best, and that is kamut, which is about 9.8 grams per cup, Teff, which is also about 9.8 grams per cup, and then quinoa, which will give you 8.1 grams of protein per cup. Now, what about protein powders? Well, for the Daniel fast, if you have to have a protein powder, and protein powder is something that, someone would supplement their diet with if they're not getting adequate protein from whole food sources. And for individuals who are athletes or into bodybuilding, or you may have a special diagnosis where you require additional protein in your diet, then in some cases you may have to supplement with a protein powder. And that's why I always say it's important to talk to your healthcare professional about what works for you before you make any drastic changes to your diet. So when I'm talking about protein powders, or my past experiences with using protein powder as it relates to the Daniel fast, I'm talking about what works for me, and you have to figure out what works specifically for you. Now, in terms of the Daniel fast, protein powders that are Daniel fast friendly would be one that is vegan, plant-based, free of any artificial ingredients. So no sugar, no stevia, no sucralose, no cane syrup, no any of those ingredients. There's an entire list of different names for sugar, brown rice syrup, any of those different names that you would see on the ingredients label. And if you have downloaded our free Daniel Fast PDF, which I'll link down below in the description box, you'll know that there is an entire table that I included with all of the different names for sugars that you would look for on your nutrition labels. Now, I know some individuals are going to say, well, protein powders are processed. Yes, I completely understand that. But as I mentioned before, there are instances where individuals might need to supplement with a protein powder. And if that is you, then there are some options. Another thing to consider if you're looking at a protein powder is to make sure you're avoiding ones that have chocolate, because they may have caffeine in it or sugar. So you have to be really careful with that and stick with the more, plain or vanilla-based protein powders, because again, they might be missing that added sugar or that caffeine. Now, like I said, this is completely up to you, and I don't want you to get so hung up on the food item that it becomes a deterrent to what the most important thing is in a Daniel fast, and that is developing your relationship with God. And so I really want to make that your focus is, how can I get stronger in my relationship with God? Like maybe I've been falling to the wayside, maybe I haven't made enough time for God, and God really needs to be a priority in your life. And so that's why you're doing this Daniel fast. And as you're fasting for breakthrough, or, whatever it is that you're asking God for, I don't want you to become so focused on the food that you forget that the most important part is about your relationship with God. Now, so in terms of protein powders, ones that I use, I have to make sure that they're non-GMO, of course. So you want to look for ones that include, like maybe brown rice or, pea protein or hemp. So, you can use hemp protein because again, it's a plant-based food, right? So, and that's really just ground up hemp seeds, and that might be perfect for you. And so that's not as heavily processed if you have a hemp seed based protein. And I'll make sure that I link in the description, some of the plant-based protein sources that I've used myself in the past that I think are clean and are Daniel fast friendly. I'm not saying you have to buy these proteins. I'm just sharing with you what has worked for me in the past. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I ask that you give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe for more awesome content just like this. Now, before you leave, I want to remind you, you're only one prayer away. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Take care.